A lot of questions people will be asking
Yes.
at this time is the fact that Mr. Femi-Fani-Kayode, brilliant guy. But the fact, Chief Femi-Fani-Kayode, brilliant guy.
Call me Femi, I really don't mind, to be honest with you.
But the fact remains that someone will look at the particular portfolio that you left, that particular industry, the aviation, most of our airports were left untouched, without maintenance for years. They were left as they were built. And this government is a government that's putting them in shape.
All right.
You still have the opinion that the government has done nothing. Is that fair?
You are pushing us towards aviation. Let me answer you with 2 or 3 sentences, and then we'll talk about the wider issue, because it's important people have the facts and figures. You know, if you talk about aviation, when I came into aviation, I know the situation. I came in, 453 people had died in plane crashes, in 5 plane crashes a year before I came in. It was a terrible thing. I'm sure even you were very nervous about flying at that time. Our people were dying like flies from the skies. We came in, I had one mandate and one mandate alone. That is to stop the air crashes. I was there for a period of 7 months or so, not one air crash in that period of time. Ordinarily, that would not be an achievement. That's how it ought to be under normal circumstances. But the fact remains that every other Minister of Aviation in this country since 2001 has unfortunately had a plane crash under him within 3 months or so, or not too long after of coming into office. So we stopped the crashes, and we stopped we ensured that we put emergency measures in to ensure such things didn't happen. What was it? Safety and security. That was far more important to me than building halls in the airport. I'll also tell you something else. You talk about all these, the beautification of the airports, and it's a wonderful thing. If we had had the resources to do that, we would have done it. But unfortunately for us, we were not allowed to tap into what they call the BASA fund, which is what the last Minister of Aviation did. It was a fund of about $600-700 million US dollars, which is it's an ICAO requirement. And you can't just tap into that money. Obasanjo didn't let us touch the money. Yar'Adua came in, he didn't let his own ministers touch the money. Stella Odua came in, and Goodluck Jonathan allowed her to touch that money and tap into it. And of course, there are questions about that, but I won't go into that now, because under the ICAO rules and so on and so forth, that is a questionable act, and which is precisely why the former DG of NCAA, Dr. Demond, refused to sign checks for that. And when the acting DG of NCAA came in, she was signing checks. So, but that's not another issue. I really am reluctant to go too much into that. So you can beautify your airports as much as you like, but if you have 200 people that died under your watch within the space of 2 years and so on and so forth, I really don't think you should beat your chest too much. Now,
so that we don't go too far, and we don't stray from the issues.
Sure,
the fact remains that you were formerly of the PDP,
yes.
And why we're going into all of this is a question of the fact that you were formerly in the PDP camp, and that's what we're talking about. But the fact remains that your new party is proposing what the title A New Nigeria.
Right.
And they're saying they're looking at a new Nigeria,
yes.
where the over 20% issue of unemployment will be solved.
Right.
The issue of insecurity will be solved.
Right.
And the big question is, does your party have, or do you have the capacity to do that?
Well, first of all, again, I appreciate where you're heading with this, and I will go into detail about the capacity or incapacity of the APC as much as you like tonight. But I think it's important. You laid a premise. Why did I leave PDP? What went wrong? People would complain that I was there before, I'm no longer there. I was part and parcel of this system, and I'm no longer there. Why? In order to appreciate the fact that you need an APC, and you need change, and you pray for us that we can effect that change, you need to understand the mess that we're in this country. And I will go back. I insist on going back. Let's look at the power sector, for example. Again, in 1999, Obasanjo came into power. Okay, we were generating about 1,300 megawatts per year. By the time he left office, we were generating 4,300 megawatts a year. Not perfect, not that good, but certainly better than when he came in. Do you know what? Since that time, since 2007, we have not generated as much power as we did in 2007 in the last 5 years. The highest they got was 4,000. We're now back to 3,000 megawatts. That is PDP for you. That is President Goodluck Jonathan for you. Again, look at the oil theft. 50% of our oil production is being stolen on a daily basis. The other day, my good friend, the Governor Duaga of Delta State, a great man, good friend of mine, said that only 40% was being stolen, as if that was anything for us to be happy about. But actually, I maintain the fact that 50% of our oil production is being stolen, and that is PDP for you. That is Goodluck Jonathan for you. Now, most important of all, for me, is the issue of graduate unemployment and unemployment generally. In this country today, 80% of our graduates are unemployed. 80%, 8 out of 10, 80 out of 100, 800 out of 1,000 are unemployed in this country. They can't get jobs.
It's interesting that you talked about some of these issues.
And 50.
Where Nigerians, these are numbers that you're talking about, yes. But Nigerians didn't see this.
It's unfortunate. They should do the research. Go to the world.
Not about research. You and I have lived in this country. UNDP. We have not seen the issue of power that you have talked about.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I've not seen it.
Well, you know what?
I've not had power, like you said.
I'll put it precisely my point. What I'm saying is this. Nobody has disputed this because it is factual. Not even Obasanjo's greatest detractors. 4,300 megawatts at the peak. That was at the end, 2007. Today, we're down to 3,000.
These are numbers that you're talking about. We're talking about reality. We're talking about Nigerians.
Listen to me carefully. It's very important for you to appreciate these numbers when they're factual. Unless you tell me they're not factual. And you know what? It indicates two things. One, at point A, we made progress. At point B, we regress, we didn't make progress. That's the starting point. And what I'm saying to you is that if today, I spoke about graduate unemployment at 80%. Ask the UNDP, ask all the various institutions from outside, they will confirm these figures. Now, I'm also telling you that today, 51% of our people are unemployed. That is a cause for concern, a major cause for concern. And we shouldn't just say, oh, they're just numbers. It affects you, it affects me, it affects every single person, because we all have people that are looking for jobs. And that is the legacy that has been set. And it is for these reasons, together with the fact well, together with so many other reasons, that we have chosen to change the system, to oppose the system, and stop the PDP and move on and establish a new party. So we can talk about APC now if you like.
It's interesting because a lot of Nigerians who are watching are looking at some of the facts that you put in up, and the reality is what we are talking about, and some of the problems that are on ground. Just a moment.
Facts establish reality, isn't that it?
But I mean, some of the facts you're talking, especially really as regards power. I've been living in Nigeria for all those years that you talked about.
You dispute the fact.
Those are in fact the years when the numbers of generators
Can I ask you, I'm not sure how old you are.
But the fact remains that,
how old were you when Abacha was, when Abdul Salam was in power? We were generating 1,500 megawatts.
Just a moment.
We quadrupled that, and we haven't reached that 5 years later.
So that we don't stray too much about the issue, the fact remains that your party, APC, is saying they can actually do a lot of change.
Sure.
And they're putting up a roadmap that they can put up this. They have the capacity to do it.
Well, look, there's no question about that. Of course they have the capacity. And you need to, judge the APC based on, one, the performance of the individuals that are playing a key role within the party. You look at what has happened in Lagos State when Governor Bola Tinubu was governor of Lagos. You look at what is happening in Ekiti State today. Look at what's happening in Osun State. Look at what's happening in a number of the APC states. Look at what's happening in Kano State, where you have the phenomenon of Kwakwansia, where you have Kwakwanso, who has introduced free education at all levels. You look at free medical health care in all the APC states. You look at subsidized education. All these things are there. These are APC policies. As far as I'm concerned, they're a little bit left of center. And they're doing, and the credibility of these people, it stands very, very high. Stands tall. They stand tall, and they're certainly in a better position to effect change in this country. I mean, look at it. For example, a few weeks ago, we had a member of this administration, a key member of this administration. That's my good friend Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, saying $20 billion has gone missing. He was now suspended. He's been removed, and he's likely to be probed, and so on and so forth. He may have his own issues, but that allegation alone is certainly serious enough to ask that other people should be suspended as well. You have a situation where our Minister of Finance got on television and said that $10.5 billion indeed has gone missing, and she now calls for a forensic probe. This is cause for concern. You have a situation whereby it has now been established as fact, not just numbers, like you said earlier, that the accounts of NNPC have not been audited since 2005. You have a situation where $3.5 billion has been spent on the subsidizing kerosene alone without appropriation from the National Assembly, and specifically against the directives and Directive of President Goodluck Jonathan. These are cause for concern. I can tell you this much. An APC government will not allow such things to happen, and that's the starting point.
All right. It's interesting. Some of the statistics, I mean, especially that of the government of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, you were talking about the megawatts that we didn't actually see. President Obasanjo left 2,000 older. Of course, we need light. Megawatts need to make us.
The
just a moment.
Point I'm making.
Just a moment.
Because you keep
just
going
a moment. Just a moment.
The general point I must make.
If you will allow me say this.
No. You keep going back to that.
President Obasanjo.
Let me clear this issue
just a moment. Will you allow me say this?
Let me just say
just a moment.
My point is this. That my general point is this. That if you compare the situation in 2007 in terms of power generation till today, you cannot dispute the fact that it was far better than because it reached a peak. And we've got that. Even
2,700 megawatts that President Obasanjo left.
Even the government have said that. I don't know where you're getting this from.
But this are facts.
This
out
is
there.
not a fact.
I mean,
it is not
what
a fact.
Is out there is different from what you're reading to us.
It is not a fact.
Now, the fact remains that.
No.
Just a moment.
Let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing about what I call
the credibility.
Would you
listen to me?
No. What I call the credibility of discourse. I would appreciate it. You invited me. Let me answer.
Just hold on.
There's something you call the credibility of discourse.
Calm down. We'll go on a break. Just calm down.
Of discourse.
We go on a break, and when we return, we'll be able to talk more.
Everything I
just
say,
a moment.
Why do you
We'll go on a
me
short
here?
break, and when we return, Chief Femi-Fani-Kayode is still with us on the program as we look at the issues, the national issues that we're talking about on the program.
How can
we'll be right back.
say in
Join us again.